Round 3. That's round 3. It feels like an age already. I was going to ask you if round 3 were an emoji, what would it be? But I know you're going to do a dance better. So if round 3 were a dance, what would it be? Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. We will have coming up for you on Off the Court your questions answered, or at least some of them. There's been so many. Thank you. Use the hashtag Off the Court. We'll talk about some epic comebacks that the Spice Girls will be worthy of. We've got some MBEs and some deliveries too, but maybe not quite what you'd think. First, though, Hannah Wilkes rounds it all up.
There were 3 unbeaten teams heading into round 3, and defending champions Thunder faced a tough battle against Loughborough Lightning in front of a sellout home crowd at the Bellevue. Lightning looked slick and led throughout, with a 12-goal lead at one stage, and headed into the final 15 minutes 55-46 up. But pushed on by player of the match Laura Malcolm, Thunder pulled themselves back into it. They got it to within 4 with 3 minutes left, equalised in the final minute, and managed to pull off a 3-goal win. Meanwhile, at the Team Bath Arena, the Blue and Gold hosted last season's losing finalists, Wasps. Without England's Ebony Asaro-Brown and Serena Guthrie, many wondered how Bath would fare this season, and having built an early lead, Wasps took a 5-goal advantage into half-time. But lots of third-quarter changes, including Katie Harris to goal attack and Josie Huckle to goalkeeper for Wasps, saw the momentum shift as Bath pulled it back, scoring 9 unanswered goals in the last 5 minutes to beat Wasps for the first time since 2017. Player of the match went to goal defence Tash Pavlin in front of a sellout crowd. 3 from 3 then for Thunder and Bath. Across in Hertfordshire, Saracens Mavericks were looking to return to winning ways against Seven Stars. They were 11 ahead at the end of the first quarter, and they never really looked back. Duracell Bunny Gabby Marshall orchestrating things from centre, and they were 12 up by half-time, marshalling that lead to a 61-45 victory. Top of the shooting stats, George Fisher hit 98%, and coach Kat Ratnapala was full of praise as well for Razia Quashie and Joe Tripp in the defensive end, turning over ball after ball as they took the 3 points. Up in Glasgow, Judy Murray was in the crowd for the Strathclyde Sirens home opener against Surrey Storm, and Sirens weathered the storm throughout, maintaining a lead across all 4 quarters, and player of the match Lindsay Gallagher setting up her shooter Beth Goodwin to full effect, as Goodwin hit 91% through the net. A clinical performance from Sirens for the full 60 minutes. And wrapping up round 3, it was London Pulse versus Celtic Dragons in front of the Sky cameras on Monday night. With Dragons defender Latanya Wilson suspended, Pulse's midcourt had no trouble finding Siggy Berger under the posts, and they were 5 ahead by half-time. With a host of young talent in the Pulse ranks, it was Jamaican Dean Thomas who put a player of the match performance in, producing creativity and flair across the midcourt. A 16-goal win would send Pulse to second in the Super League table on goal difference, and they very much delivered with a dominant final quarter performance, sealing the win by 31 goals.
Thank you, Hannah. I love that with Pulse, you're getting the bench up on their feet. They all want to be part of it, and that team ethic kind of feels like it's going to carry them well this season.
100%. They're completely involved. We sat behind the bench last week at their...
You like sit down? I can't see.
Well, no, but they're fully involved, and that culture is really important. Samba bringing that culture to the team. I think it's going to put them in good stead for this season.
Shall we have a little look at Thunder Lightning then?
Yeah, got to be the game of the round, hasn't it?
Think?
Yeah, 67-64. Now, this is Thunder's comeback in the last quarter. Just watch how controlled they are at this point. Now, bearing in mind, they went 12 down at one point. They went into the last quarter. I think they were at least 11 down, I think, at that point, which is crazy. But the way they worked the ball around, got the ball into Mvula, Amy Carter on the ball, not panicking, allowing Ellie Cardwell to come. They are so structured. Karen Gregg has got them to a point where they're happy just to play, let the ball go, and they stuck to task right up to the very end. And that was impressive. They weren't forcing it in. Bearing in mind how far they had been down, to actually build back into this game, I think the home advantage helped them. The crowd there were incredible. You can see them all on their feet now. But that structure set them in good stead to finish off that game. And it was a shooter game, wasn't it? 67-64, Mary Chollock and Umvula and Ellie Cardwell down the other end. I mean, was there any defence on the court? 67-64, but very impressive from Thunder.
3 minutes left and they were 4 goals behind, so you're right, just the way they managed to turn it over. How much of that do you lay at the feet of Loughborough Lightning, though?
Yeah, and I think it's a young, inexperienced team, and we've got some clips to show you of some of the errors they made in that last quarter, and so unfortunate for them. I know they tried things that their goals were desperately going away. You see Chollock there just dropping that ball and the inexperience feed into her. And it's hard when the noise is here. You're going to see Amy Carter come out with a brilliant intercept as well, just off the ball. And they will be looking at the errors going, how the heck did we get ourselves into that position after having such a good lead and having such a dominant shooter under the post? But I think it does come down to their lack of experience on the court at the moment. We know they're missing key players. We talked about it last week. It is frustrating for them at the time, and Sarah Bayman will be looking at it going, it was the game that got away. But they should be looking at that going, hang on, we've had a load of youngsters, we're now getting them exposed. They've shown that they can, go toe-to-toe with the champions. There are some things that, unfortunately, as a young player, you just have to play out, and that was one of those games.
Yeah, Panagari, a long-term injury, as you say. She's not really had a happy card dealt to her already this season, Sarah Bayman, but players coming back, that will help. Capacity there, capacity at Team Bath doing another comeback.
Yeah, well, Wasps totally in control. I tweeted at half-time, 5 goals up, looking fairly comfortable.
So was it your fault then, is that what you're saying?
I wish I hadn't looked. But it was the third quarter, and the star, Tash Pavlin, and the impact she had. We've got some clips of Tash. This is actually in the second quarter. She was getting her hand through everything through the game. Just look at her come through there. She is so rangy and she is quick. So, anything that Wasps look to put in there flat. Look at this, hands over the ball on Lexi Baker. She's such a tall, athletic kind of defender. Probably quite unassuming, but fearless. I talk a lot about that from young defenders. And they have got a very young defensive line, haven't they? Summer Artman, Tash Pavlin, Imogen Allison. And yet, without Ebony Usoa-Brown, without Serena Guthrie, this team are almost playing better, can I say? And I think it comes from the confidence, having the likes of Kim Kamane, Rach Shaw, Sophie Drakeford-Lewis with another season under their belt, and this young, fearless defence end. Wasps, I think, will look at the changes they made at half-time and probably regret making so many, because I do think that changed the momentum completely.
That was Team Bath's first win over Wasps since 2017, just to underline the point there. Home debut for Fitona. Promising signs then for Team Bath. On to Scotland. Another capacity. We said about every game, which is brilliant in itself.
It is indeed. And can we just talk about Beth Goodwin, please?
Go on.
It's the improvement of the young goal shooter, and we're going to pick her up here, Xing the circle, her partnership with Lindsay Gallagher. Bearing in mind this kid shot 70% in her opening match against Pulse, and the shooting was probably the reason Sirens lost. Look at the confidence that she had, 81% in round 2 and now 91% in round 3. That tells you everything you need to know. Pick her up under the post here, wanting the ball, opening out. It's not only her movement, but the fact that even with her shooting statistics, she's quite happy to turn and go to post. Look at that roll out there. And what started to happen is Sirens got more and more comfortable feeding her because they knew she wanted to put the ball up. And that is so important. Turning and going to post from a young shooter. Then she can start using the fakes, makes the life outside the circle of the wings hacks job so much easier.
Hashtag off the court, Stano's just done that. And he said, how do you hope to improve the Sirens momentum, use it with what you're doing with Scotland as well? Yeah,
it's a great opportunity for me to get to see a lot of those players that will feature in the Scottish national side playing against the best competition in this country. Beth Goodwin, to see her improvement for me is something that I'm already going box ticked. My job is to go in there and cement that group as a national side. Leslie McDonald's job is to upskill these players, and that is what she's doing.
Our Sky game on Monday night was from the Copper Box, and a player I bet you'd love to have under your wing, Dean Thomas. Stole the show.
Well, I raved about it, didn't I? And actually, let's have a look at this movement. Her control here and her offload. What I love about her is her feed and the fakes, her vision. Keep checking her out. For any young attacker watching, this is why you can't just throw ball flat and hard the whole time. Look at her offload from one hand and two hands. She uses the step and the elevation when she needs to. It's just part of her game. She's also quite happy to just offload when she can. And that's the beauty of Dean Thomas. I saw her in the Storm game when Pulse won. It was a great comeback. She was gutted, not because her team had won. She was
What's
gutted
with the finger pointing at me?
because she was gutted she'd come off the court.
Right.
She's a real champ. Pulse need to leave her out there. She's feeding Siggy Berger so well, and any young attacker needs to keep watching her because her offloading is incredible.
What position do you want me to play in? You know, right now I'm feeling the fear.
Be a wing attack, Barker.
Yeah, it's
Toughest
not gonna
position
happen.
on the court.
Have you seen my hips? It's never going to work. Let's move on away from that, although thank you for everyone that did get in touch about last week's show. We will have a Gary Burgess umpiring special, in particular relating to Dragons, the sending off, should it have happened, should she have had a match ban. That conversation continues. As part of that, just for a side, Gary Burgess special coming up then, just not today. 3 games between 2 teams having to happen. So a bit different this season. The first day of the season, we saw all those games in round 1. There'll be a press repeat, so they won't just play those teams twice, they'll play them 3 times.
Yeah.
And you think that's left a little bit of an unfair advantage for some sides?
It's a new rule that came in. They wanted this bonus round, but the problem is it goes off where you finished last time in the season. So
Right.
Thunder and Wasps will play each other 3 times. Now, for some teams, massive advantage. For some teams, massive disadvantage. For Mavericks, who've not made the top 4, by the way, in a very long time, they will be looking at this, rubbing their hands together. They get to play Stars 3 times. They've played them twice. They've already taken 6 points. They will get, I should imagine, an extra 3 points when they play them again. That could potentially knock out a team like Loughborough, Bath, Wasps, who have to play all each other 3 times. It was an interesting rule. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right, but Mavericks, it's played out very well for them.
They don't play them again, though, till round 12. So the growth, the improvement, hopefully we'll see from Stars, if not more of an even contest than whether they'll beat them in that time round. So maybe it's about spacing them out through the season as well.
I think that would have been a better opportunity, or just having the opening weekend as just an opening weekend. You know, it doesn't count to the league, but anyway.
Quick word on matters away from the Super League, and Caitlin Bassett picking up an injury, I think around about 12 weeks that she'll be out, which is a huge loss with the Aussie captain.
It is a huge loss, and with Suncorp starting, it'll be in a couple of months, it'll be about how she progresses back. Interestingly, it'll be a big opening now for an Aussie diamond shooter. I know she will be back in that side, but with Caitlin Thwaites retiring, who is the next Aussie shooter? That's the question on everybody's lips.
And that was always the discussion as well. A few more of the social media questions. Hashtag off the court. Tom writes, true or false, Thunder Bear is the best Super League mascot. Tom, we know you are Thunder Bear, although if kids are watching, clearly he's not, because Thunder Bear is a real person, stroke animal. So, Tom, don't know, you can answer that question for yourself. Chloe says, why are Lightning consistently successful against Thunder?
It's all about matchups, who plays well against each other, and it depends about what style you like. Thunder are a very man-on, structured kind of style. Loughborough are a bit more unorthodox. They've got the tall shooter. They find getting the ball into her a lot easier against a Thunder style of defence. They always have, and that happens across the board. Wasps never match up particularly well against Thunder because they don't like the on-body hassle. It's all very different.
If I gave you 30 seconds on each team, could you tell us each team's style in 30 seconds and break them down?
Yeah, I could, but we've definitely got enough time now.
It's not going to happen now. Netball Scoop says, no, shh, don't want you to. Netball Scoop says, are Pulse the real deal?
I'm very impressed with Pulse. I think they will. Let's be honest, they've played Storm, they've played Dragons, they've played Sirens. They haven't been tested yet. However, they are a very confident side, and they will grow in confidence if they can keep their team together. Interestingly, they're going to meet Team Bath in round 4, which is going to be one of the highlights to see if they are the real deal. They've certainly got potential. The confidence now of 3 wins under their belt, sitting second in the table, will bring them through. Bearing in mind, after round 1, I don't think they won a game last season. So this is very helpful to them. I'm not sure they're ready to break into the top 4, but if they can keep that group together, they will be powerful moving forward.
Caroline writes, is it Bath or Bath? No, I don't. Eosi says, when are we going to see pro men playing in the Super League? These Rhinos have been doing taster sessions for boys. I know they've got another one on Saturday, I think, too. So they're really trying to start the younger age range and bring them through, which we've not seen before.
I think from a fan base point of view, we want men involved as much as possible. Boys playing definitely sets the tone early doors. I don't think we want to move into a mixed netball pro league. I think we need to keep it separate just because of the beauty of our sport and how it operates at the minute. But I'm totally for men playing. I think it's really important.
Next up, count the MBEs and count the number of Serenas. These are some of the social media messages you might have missed over the last 7 days. This is Serena Guthrie. Serena Bob, getting her MBE. Brilliant moment.
It's absolutely amazing. When can we go to Buckingham Palace?
Yeah,
Serena,
not going to
you
happen.
could have invited us.
It's not going to happen. This special delivery. Nev, welcome to the world. Tracy
know.
Neville.
I dropped her a message to say congrats, and she was like, life changed forever. And I was like, oh yes, in a good way. Amazing news. Congrats to Tracy Neville. We were all rooting for her as well.
We've seen you, of course, with young Casey on your hip at netball. How long before we see Nev there too? And this is Serena the Hippo with Judy Murray. What a moment.
I know. I don't know who you want to look at first. Amazing that Judy Murray was there, though, and what a great exposure for Sirens, doing a great job commercially, as always, pushing the sport forward.
But also multi-sports as well. If you get youngsters involved in all sorts of sports at every level, it benefits each of those sports individually.
Of course it does. And we love the hippo. Not as much as the bear, we're not sure.
Oh, don't start that argument. We'll be here forever. Let's have a quick check then on the Super League table after round 3. When you look at the top team, Bath, their London Pulse, they match up in the next round, the battle of the unbeatens. Who else surprised you, perhaps, where they are in the table?
I just think it's the way the games have played out so far. It's always difficult at this time. You look, the teams you still want to be beating each week, Bath, Thunder, Mavericks, Wasps and Lightning. So any of those teams now that have got a couple of wins under the belt will be going, right, get us against the big teams. Let's see what we can do.
For those that are fresh to the sport and watching us on YouTube for the first time or on demand, the little line below 8th, everyone that finishes 8th and above gets to qualify for Fast 5, the shorter form version of netball at the end of the season. That's why there's that other line there. It's not that we have relegation in the Netball Super League. Round 4 then, I'll mention that battle of the unbeatens. Any of the other matches that you're looking forward to?
Celtic Dragons and Sirens. I think that's always a great clash, isn't it? You see sort of an international Welsh, Scottish side going at each other with added impact. I want to see Latanya Wilson back. I know she'll be itching to get back on that court. And of course, our TV game on Monday night.
We're always asked about what's contest and what's fair in netball. Those little like punches that you give me, just ruling it out for next time.
It's off the ball, Barker.
Yeah, that's not quite allowed. Off the court, not off the ball. That was poor. Take it anyway you like. Hashtag off the court. Get in touch with us too. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.